drawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended.
So the world might be mended. Hey everyone, welcome to Respawn Aim Fire's side quest, BARF. There are a lot of qualifiers on the name of this episode. Respawn Aim Fire's side quest, BARF, Demon Souls Remastered, Special Edition Spoiler Cast. Chat. We call them chats, not casts. We are very excited, V-excited as the kids say, to talk all about Demon's Souls Remastered. We have special guests here joining us. First of all, we're going to introduce him before we even introduce the rest of us. We have the Treavor on Twitter. Treavor Bettis, welcome.
Thank you.
Treavor,
I like talking about the Souls games.
I love that you love talking about Souls games, and I love that you love talking about D&D and other things. Where else can people find you?
Oh, God. Okay, let's see. You can find me on Difficulty Class Podcast, talking about Dungeons & Dragons. You can find me on The Other Side of Suspicion, which is a comedy paranormal podcast where me and my friends make jokes about cryptids and ghosts and all that fun stuff.
Be good.
And then you can catch me on From the Same Mister, where me and my half-sister talk about being donor siblings and our 9 other siblings. And then it's on hiatus right now, but starting in January again, you can catch me on Champions of Lore, which is a D&D lore podcast with B. Dave Walters and Aaron M. Evans every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Wonderful.
I almost ran out of breath there.
Wonderful. All of that will be in the links in the description of all of this shit on YouTube and audio podcasts. We also, of course, have me, Chad Michael Innes, and our usual co-host, Holden Christopher Adams, Kid Cuddy, Silly Putty DePardo.
Those are all really my names. All of them.
It's true.
With his
birth
tone, I
certificate's a
thought Chad
mess.
was going to go into like a wrestling announcer voice. And here he is!
No, I always default to Nassim Pedrad, Jay Farrow, Courtney Love Hewitt.
To be fair, though, we are much funnier than SNL.
Guys, we are here to
That's not
talk
hard to
about
accomplish.
Demon's Souls Remastered. This is one of our 2 BARF games for the ending of 2020 that our community told us they wanted to hear us talk about. We played it on PS5 because it's only available on PS5 and not anything else like PS4s or Xboxes or Neo Geo Pockets. So that's where we all played it.
What about Tamagotchis? I heard it was coming to Tamagotchi soon.
You know, I almost bought my niece a Tamagotchi for Christmas, and then I realized she has a fucking iPad.
Quick aside, I actually bought one of the 25th anniversary Digimon Tamagotchi little things that came out this year.
Nice.
And it took me all of 30 minutes to go, oh yeah, I hated this. Anywho, Demon's Souls.
So I've played Demon's Souls. This is my 3rd time through it. I didn't actually beat it the first time, but I played it a lot on PS3 a ton of years ago, and then I beat it this time on PS5 as well. Holden, this is your first time with it, correct?
Correct.
And
But
you
I've
beat
done
it?
many Souls games at this point. Yes, I 100%, well, didn't 100% complete it because I didn't do everything in it, but
my God.
no, and I'm not going to.
And then Trevor, what
Platinums are
is your
gross.
little history with Demon's Souls? Or the Souls franchise?
I love this freaking game. Never beaten it. Still haven't beaten it. Don't care because I love these games and I'll go through them when I do. I know everything I can about it though because I do not care about spoilers with Souls games.
Dope, which is why you're here today, because you just don't care.
Yeah.
And that's what's
just don't
important
care.
for this conversation.
Chad, I just don't care.
Throw your hands in the air. So we usually start these with a little bit of a history about the game. Let's talk about 2008 is when this game was first shown off. And not released. It was released in 2009, but it was first shown off in 2008, and it was kind of not well received. And in fact, it was kind of derided for its difficulty, and Sony decided we're not going to publish this game. It was developed by From Software, originally conceived and kind of partnered with Sony Japan Studio as well. But Sony decided to back out of publishing it in the West. So in the West, whenever it did eventually come, it was Atlas who published it.
Yep.
Brought it over, and it was met with critical success here in the West, and it was kind of just meh in Japan, which is not how they expected that to turn out anyway. So this released in 2009, it was a big hit, and then From Software decided to basically take this same formula and apply it to the Dark Souls franchise, which they would have ownership over, whereas Sony has ownership over Demon's Souls. The game then, of course, got re-released this year. 11 years afterwards, it was remastered by Bluepoint, in no way associated with from Software other than getting their blessing on the remaster as well. They've added a couple of things to this new version, most notably being the new send to storage option, which did not exist in the original, which would have completely killed me if I did not have that. But that's just a little bit of history behind the game. Just letting you know that it was not originally something that Sony decided to back.
Did you read about what that this is actually a spiritual successor to another game?
I read that it was inspired by
right?
old games and the difficulty of really old games, but I didn't see that it was.
This is so From Software back in the 90s made Kingsfield, which was kind of those old dungeon crawler like first person going through a corridor thing.
Oh yeah.
But they actually used the PlayStation's like 3D graphics and had 3D monsters in there as well. And it was again brutally freaking hard. And so Demon Souls was in-house pitched as a spiritual successor to Demon Souls, and to Kingsfield, and I guess there's even some things, locations and monsters and creatures from Kingsfield that show up not only in Demon Souls but also in Dark Souls.
Interesting.
That's fun stuff.
Thank you, Treavor, for being a good contributor. Holden, what do you have that's secret?
I have 2 history books about Souls games, okay?
No, I've seen a lot of footage from Kingsfield. It's one of those like older style games. You're like, okay, I'll never play that because it just does not look enjoyable anymore.
Dope.
Yeah, it's hard to look at.
Okay, so Treavor, we know how you feel about Souls games. We know how I feel about this game, seeing as this is my 3rd playthrough of it. Holden, let's get a little peek behind the curtain. What did you think of Demon Souls Remastered?
So it's been, I plowed through it. I beat it in like literally a few days. And looking back at it now after like a month of kind of letting it sit, I'm glad I had the game because it's the real showcase of what a next-gen console is going to be capable of. It's really the only real example. But like kind of putting that stuff aside and like looking at it as a game, looking at it as Souls games, I've played Bloodborne, I've played Dark Souls 3, I've played Sekiro. If you want to count Hollow Knight, like I played that as well. That counts as a Souls game to you. And, it was enjoyable. I liked it. The world was interesting to explore, but it was easy. Like compared to the other games, it was really easy, I thought. I only really struggled against Flame Lurker and Man-Eater. And outside of that, I just didn't really have a hard time. I thought it is harder to get 2 bosses in this game than in any other game because, oh god, like is it the Depraved Chasm, where that first boss is not hard, but it takes forever to get there.
The Depraved Chasm, which was that one?
It's like the kind of the wet cave.
Oh, the one with all the poison?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Especially if you don't unlock that shortcut with the little board that falls over, and you have to go through all of that again if you die on the boss. Whew.
Even with that, it still takes forever.
Yeah.
It's like that was, I think, like the hardest part of the game was like getting to a boss. But then when I got to that boss, first try, dead. Mm-hmm. That was very consistent for me.
The one thing that I genuinely wish that they had added to this game that I think would have been able to get a few more people to hop in on it, especially with, PS5 launching the same time as this, is if they had actually added bonfire system like Dark Souls. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand the easy part of it and everything like that, but it was like, yeah, if those times where it was like, I was just about to hit the freaking shortcut and I got killed. And I'm like, I really do not want to go through all that fucking again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because in Dark Souls, like depending on which one you're playing, they're good healthy chunks apart, and like let's talk about the first place, the
Boletaria.
Yeah, the wall of Boletaria. Yeah, if there had been a bonfire in the wall, like maybe like where the boulder gets pushed or something like that, would have been perfect. Or even when you get to the top of the wall, would have been perfect. But yeah, I understand. I get what you're saying about the long run to the boss.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the hardest part of the game, for me at least. It's kind of is the opposite of what I was expecting. Because for me, what I like about a Souls game is there's a struggle the first time you go through a Souls game to get to the boss and figure out how to navigate the area. Like that's still part of every Souls game. But when you get to the boss, there's supposed to be this formidable challenge. And it might just be I've played so many of these games now that I've gotten used to it, and I know be patient, don't just run in, like take your time. It's okay if a boss battle takes a while. But I didn't have that like sense of reward that I've gotten in past Souls games. At the same time, though,
you got good. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
like you just gotten good, and now the you moved on past this challenge.
You've ascended, sir.
But afterwards I played Dark Souls 3, just like the first area, just to get a sense of like, was that, would I be just as good as Dark Souls 3 now, even though I've beaten that? Like, that was hard. Like, Dark Souls 3 was significantly harder for me than this. But I think the positive thing about this is that this is a good entry for a lot of people to get into the Souls series. And for that, I think it's still a really good game to have around.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Nice. Yeah, I do agree that it is an easier experience than the rest of the Souls games that I've played. Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and part of Sekiro. And this is definitely the easiest one that I've played. I remember my first go around on PlayStation 3 playing a strong, like mainly melee based build, and I believe it was in the Tower of Latria, and you had all of the people shooting magic at you, and I was like, fuck, this is difficult as hell. I can't even get close to them without them murdering me. Mm-hmm. And that whole area, Tower of Latria, the next place with the man-eater and all the gargoyles and shit like that, I think that's what broke me the first time, and I was like, nope, I'm done. Mm-hmm. And I remember quitting, and then I came back to it like a year later with a magic build. And I was like, oh, shit, magic is super powerful in this thing. And I was doing like a mix of faith and magic and things like that. And I made it through, but it was still an accomplishment at the time. And I was like, man, that was difficult and challenging, but man, I'm glad that I did it. And then knowing all of that information, I breezed through this thing on PlayStation 5 because I was like, fuck it. I literally, except for like 3 or 4 points, I put everything into magic and intelligence. I ended up with like 50 magic and 45 intelligence. And that's all I did. Wore really light armor, so I just roll around everywhere, don't get hit. And literally the last half of the bosses were all one-hit kills. And I was just like, Jesus. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. So I learned... I
might need to restart my character.
Yeah, I learned how to make the game even easier. But I think for me, this was more of a... I'm going to revisit this and how cool all of these environments are and how well designed everything is and the dope enemies and bosses and shit like that. So I'm glad that I was able to figure that out and kind of breeze through this because there's a lot of shit to play right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's why I haven't really gotten through it, because there's so much shit to play.
Well, next time Cyberpunk crashes, just boot up Demon Souls and you can play it.
Nah, man, I gotta cook all them cookies in Destiny, man. Yes. I got things to do.
Yeah, masterwork that oven, bring up that cheese. Let's talk a little bit about like system performance and gameplay and graphics and shit like that. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on the way that this game looks and performs?
Oh my god, this game looks how I wanted a next-gen game to look. Like, when I booted it up the night I got my PS5, I was like, this is it. This is it right here. Like, I got the controller that I'm like, this is what controllers should feel like. I got a game that... Because, like, when I was on for the Xbox review, I talked about how, like, I went and searched for a game on the Xbox store where I'm like, I want to see what the Xbox can do. I want to see what the Series X means for a game. That's what this game was for PS5. It was just... Like... There was at one point I remember I was standing in an area and I was just like, why the hell is there red on me? And then I realized it was the ambient light from a sign on the ground reflecting off of my armor, and it was a few meters away, and I'm like, that's so freaking cool. It just looks so good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, this is for me the best looking like graphic fidelity. Not like art direction. The art direction's fantastic, not to put that down, but like the graphical fidelity is the strongest I've seen before. But to think this is the beginning of the generation. This is where we're beginning.
This is
so
the
there's always
first
a period
game.
at the beginning of
the first PS5
this is
game.
the first game. And it's mind-blowing, every like little detail, especially when your character is wearing that armor. When your character is wearing that armor, it looks flawless. Like, it looks practically perfect. Skin tone's not perfect, but that's always, I think, going to be hard to, like, get right. But, yeah, when you're wearing armor, you can't see any skin. It looks, like, perfect. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Even, like, there's this one part where you are in the mining area, when you're outside the mining area when you first start out, and you're just looking out in the distance, and like just the way the rocks look and everything, it's like, holy shit. That Unreal demo from earlier this year, like that's it looks to that quality.
Yeah, it looks like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So amazing.
I was really surprised at they gave you the two options to play. First of all, this game is gorgeous looking, and there are great lighting effects, and it's not even ray tracing. It's just like really good planning with ambient lighting and that kind of stuff. But I was really surprised. I always go with resolution over performance whenever I'm given an option. And with this one, it's basically just 4K, native 4K at 30 frames or dynamic 4K at 60 frames. That's really the only difference between the two. And so I played most of the game with the resolution native 4K. And then I switched over to performance and I was like, oh, fuck. This game still looks amazing. And I can get this 60 frames per second. And it's something that, like, you were right, Holden. Whenever you make that change, it's like, there's no going back from that. Especially in this game, whenever, like, all of that fluidity in the animations, like, all of your dodges and you starting to cast a spell, like, every frame of that counts in a game like this.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Especially, like, because performance was on by default for me. And I played that way, and I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't get to choose my option. Let me change this to performance mode. I'd love to see what 60 frames per second looks like. And I'm like, oh, I was already on that. Well, let's see now at 30 frames. I'm like, this looks choppy and horrible. Hashtag PC Master Race.
Jesus Christ.
Like, I am totally spoiled by that now. And, yeah, it's so hard to go back. But, like, you're right. What's the difference, really, in this game in particular, at least? Like, it's not like Spider-Man. Where Spider-Man, you get ray tracing in the quality mode, where you don't get ray tracing in the performance mode. Well, that's changed now, but it used to be at launch. Where I'm like, okay, I can see making that transition. But Demon's Souls is like 60 frames all the way,
Yeah,
100%.
I was a little let down, actually, by audio. Like, I was expecting this being a first-party launch. Well,
really?
First-party, question mark? It's still Blue Point, but developed by Sony.
Soon to be first-party.
Probably. I mean, honestly, they're remaking all of their games, so they might as well. But yeah, I was a little let down by audio. I don't know whether or not this has 3D audio built in, but I was wearing the Pulse 3D wireless audio headset from Sony for PlayStation 5. And I don't know. There were so many times when I would hear an enemy through a wall or one that I knew was a good 20, 30 meters away from me, but it sounded like they were right next to me, or I would hear it and I was like, I know that, I literally saw the enemy around the corner. It's like, I know he's right around the corner, but the audio is telling me he's kind of to the side or to the back of me. And it was like, there were too many moments like that where I was like, I don't know, man, this is kind of upsetting to me.
I just realized the reason I was like, oh, really? It was off for you is because I'm like, you're just used to the shitty Souls audio.
That might be it.
That's kind of a thing that happens where it's just like, yeah, no, you hear someone, all that you can rely on is that someone's over here.
Yeah.
It could be anywhere over here, but someone's over here.
It was nowhere near as bad as Resident Evil 4 when someone's in a house 500 yards away, but it sounds like they're right behind you.
Oh, yeah.
I knew the audio didn't sound bad, but the whole time I kept going, was that 3D audio? Was it? I don't know. I know in the developer interview they said they incorporated the 3D audio and that was supposed to be there, but like, did that arrow whiz by me? Did it? I don't know. And I don't really have an ear for that kind of stuff anyway. Like, I'm definitely not an audiophile, so I'm just like, maybe I just have shitty ears and I just can't tell.
Wait, did you not take a picture of the inside of your ears and send it to Sony? That's why.
That's how you get your Pulse headphones.
I spent so much time going between type 1 through 5 in the 3D audio settings on the PS5 to like find out which one worked. And I still have no idea. I have no clue.
It's just about levels.
I choose the right one.
Like, they're different heights. You're supposed to choose the one that sounds like it's like ear level for you, and some of them sound like they're above, and some of them are below.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I get that. Yeah, and I'm like, is that where water is, or is the river supposed to be farther down than that? Because the water sounds, it's like, is my ear right up to the water? I was so confused. I don't know what I'm doing.
You're the guy that got given a hypothetical, and you're now asking, well, how much money do I have on me?
Yeah, exactly.
What did you guys think of the audio and the controller? Did you guys? Well, you guys played with the
I
headphones
played the
on.
headset,
Did you guys-
so I didn't actually even know there was any audio on the
Oh, yeah.
controller.
I highly recommend going back and playing some of it without the headphones on because it's crazy how much audio comes out of the controller. Every sword hit comes out of the controller.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you cast magic, it happens. When you take an item, it happens. Like, there was more controller audio in this game than I've ever seen in any PlayStation game.
Did it sound good? Like,
It sounded good. Like, it sounded better than it did on PlayStation 4. Like when I was playing The Division and Isaac would talk me through the controller, the sometimes I'm like, okay, that tone you hit there, Isaac, really high. It was, I mean, because it's coming out of a controller, because it's a little speaker, it still sounds tinny, and it's always going to sound tinny. But I was amazed with like how much I was like, I wasn't expecting this much work to be done with controller audio in a Souls game, but I kind of like it.
Nice. I'm certainly gonna try out a lot more stuff without headphones. Right now I'm in like a temporary setup and I have just my TV, and I'm not gonna use TV speakers because that's disgusting. But when I'm back in my apartment in San Francisco or on the West Coast, I will set up my surround sound and get that controller right in front of my eyes. It's gonna be wonderful.
Yeah, right in front of your eyes, because that's the best way to enjoy audio.
You don't absorb
through the
audio
eyes.
through your eyes. If you close your eyes, everything goes away. That's what you do in horror movies.
Oh no, every morning. That's how I wake up.
I'm sorry, what? No. I couldn't hear you. My eyes are closed. Let's talk about some of your favorite moments in the game. Whether Holden, looks like you stepped into a steamy shower again.
Get that steamy shower.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
I see that big dong.
Jesus.
Let's talk about some of your favorite moments. This could be moments on your way to a boss. It could be boss battles. It could be things that happen in the Nexus. What were some of the things that stood out to you?
Okay. I shouldn't start with that because I was literally going to start with something I hate. I love the Nexus. Like, I love Firelink Shrine from Dark Souls 3. It's one of my favorite locations in Souls games. But man, there is just something special about the Nexus and the way that they got the environment to look in the PlayStation 5 is just jaw-dropping. Like, I've been in the Nexus so many times because I played this game on PS3, but when I got up and there was those like floating gold magic rings under like the ripply floor, I was like, I could stare at this for hours. This is gorgeous. Yeah, like that. It's that and okay, this is a weird one. This is a very weird one, but people's mouths move.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly,
That's never
pretty
happened.
well. They move pretty well, too.
Yeah, they redid all of the
Like-
facial animations, and they even redid all of the voices, too.
Yeah. Like when I talked to douchebag McGee sitting in front of the first Arkstone, like he started talking. I was like, what's weird about this? Are your fucking mouths moving? He's never done that before. And then it was really cool because when I finally got to talk to, I say finally because I forgot how long it takes you to actually get your first level up in this game. When I talked to the Maid in Black and her mouth doesn't move and it has that kind of all around sound to it, I was just like, oh, you're supposed to be talking to me telepathically. I never got that before. Oh, this is cool. So yeah, I like stuff in the Nexus. What about you?
I had a few moments. One, these are all really small things, but like they stuck out to me. One is when I'm on the top of the castle wall on Proletaria, and I've defeated all the enemies. They're all gone, and I can just marvel at how the fog, like just permeates in that world, and it's insanely. I just stopped. And I'm just like, holy shit. Look at that fog. That fog is gorgeous. That was a standout moment for me, for sure. Beating Maneater just jumped up and down. I was so excited when I beat Maneater. I will never forget facing off Maneater and being like, man, like this boss is hard. This is a really hard boss. This might be the hardest boss I've come across yet. And then the second one came in. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
That must have been so
like my
hard.
favorite, like dread sinking in.
Yeah, that must have been so hard as a melee character, being on that skinny ass bridge, fighting two of these giant gargoyle monsters. Like, oh my god.
Oh yeah,
That was what made me
so
stop
intense
last time on PS3. That was the one that like I got that one down, and the second one came in, and literally just its intro was killing me because I didn't see it show up, and it just.
Yeah, that moment was incredible, and yeah, I fell off so many times. I'd be like, "Oh, dodge out of the way, not that way, fuck!" There I go, I'm dead. That was a great moment. One moment that this is a negative, but it's not From Software's fault. This is just how my experience played out. I'm very clear about that. I was really looking forward to the old monk fight because I'm like, oh, it's that, against another player. This is a legendary boss battle, and not even in Souls, but just like in general. Can't wait to get to that. And I found out it was after Maneater. I'm climbing up those stairs. I'm fighting those absolute bastards who like grab onto you and like shit. Like there were good enemies, but frustrating.
Oh, you're talking about the slug men on the ground?
Yes.
Gotcha.
And then I get to the room. My boss, old monk, spawns some dude in front of me, and he just stands there and lets me attack him.
Oh.
I'm like, I really was looking forward to the struggle. And here's what made it even more frustrating. Maneater was the third final boss I fought, then Old Monk. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to fight Old Monk, and then I'm going to fight the final boss. So like Maneater was really satisfying. Old Monk, not satisfying. But I still have the final boss to fight. That will be a really difficult, hard, challenging confrontation.
Surprise.
And again, just like Old Monk, you walk in a room, it's like this slug dude who's the original king, Advent or whatever his name was, and he just stands there while you beat him to death. And I'm like, oh, that was kind of an underwhelming ending to this game.
Again, they recognized that you were too good.
That's it.
They knew they couldn't fight you. They were no good.
As a story moment, it's a cool story moment because the Demon Souls, I'm assuming, I don't know the lore, but like, I'm assuming the Demon Souls like just basically completely washed him out. He was just washed up. So like, that's a cool moment. I killed the Black Maiden anyway because I thought that's what you had to do, but I didn't know you could walk away. I did, yeah. I didn't know you could walk away. I'm like, nothing's happening. What do I do here?
Did you pick up his sword afterwards?
I don't know.
The Soul Brand?
It was a month ago now. Oh, yeah, I did pick up the Soul Brand, yeah. And I got his other sword, too.
Demon Brand?
In Proletaria.
Did
was
you fuse them together?
No, I didn't. But that was a cool moment where when I first went to Proletaria, there's that on the top of the wall. On the top of the wall, if you're facing away from where you start, you go all the way to the left, and there's a really tough enemy to fight over there. And there's like this big door. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get that big door. And yep, and I fought him over and over and over and over again. It's like, I'm gonna get to that door. I'm gonna get to that door. I finally beat him as his door's locked. I'm like, fuckers. Like, that was pointless. But then the end of the game, I forgot his name, but the knight you save a few times in Proletaria, he commits suicide in front of you. He gives you the key beforehand, and then you go there and you get that sword. That was a satisfying kind of like close to the end of game moment where I'm like, oh, okay, things are kind of coming around now. So that was a cool moment. I talked a lot. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. For that to be a long rant.
I was entertained by what you were saying. What about you, Chad?
I had just a blast with all of it, and it was wonderful to be super powerful and strong going all through it. But then that allowed me to just kind of marvel at the designs of some of the enemies. So like, I think a lot of mine was just how cool and unique a lot of these boss battles were. Like for instance, the Storm King. First of all, fuck those manta ray.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But
when I was gonna come to the thing I didn't like, I was gonna literally say, don't get me wrong, fuck the things in Storm King.
In general, just fuck everyone in that whole world. Like the 4-2, the fucking scythe people who summon the demons, the skeleton guys that roll around and chop you up, the manta rays, fuck them
I
all.
will never forget the first time going into that world, and I'm just like, oh, there's a guy up there. What is he rolling? I'm dead. Just boom, boom, boom. Sing!
But how cool is that? Like the Storm King is this enormous enormous manta ray with just a ton of them out there. The way that it looked was so cool because they moved so kind of majestically, and they're just like floating through the air, and then just like, barb in your eye, and what I also enjoy is that like if you explore that boss's lair, there's the sword that will help you kill him like incredibly easily. Like,
Storm Ruler.
How cool is that they give you the key to that in the thing?
Was that the name of the sword in Yoel's fight in Dark Souls 3?
It is, same sword.
Yeah. It's the same sword. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know why I had the mind break. I've totally connected that before in my head. I was just like, wait a minute.
I had this moment when I got that sword, and I'm like, just like Dark Souls 3. And I'm like, well, actually, just like Demon Souls. It started.
I also really enjoyed that there were like some really like traditional bosses, like the Penetrator is just like a dude with a sword that fucks you up.
Yeah.
And then there were like puzzle-based ones, like Dragon God. There were like 3 bosses that I really struggled on. The first one was Dragon God because I didn't realize I'd forgotten. Even though I'd played this game twice and beat that thing twice, I'd forgotten that it was all just break through barriers without dying and shoot it with a crossbow.
And it's hard. That's one of the hardest bosses in the game.
Yeah.
It's not like really a boss in like a traditional sense. So yeah.
I was gonna bring this one up, but when we're talking about bosses, but Tower Knight is actually like my favorite boss fight.
Yeah,
and
he's really good.
It's easy, but I love it because it does have that puzzle element of it. Because I love Dark Souls bosses where you go in and you hit it the first time and it just goes tick. And you go, oh no, this is my best gear, and I tickled you. Like I love that first moment of a boss fight, and then going, okay, there's got to be something here. I should be doing something. There's got to be something here. And so then when you get to that point where you knock him down, you go fucking beat the shit out of his head like he's an asshole, and and you see that health going down. I love those boss fights because I go from going, I know nothing about what I'm doing to, oh, I got this. I can do this right now. And you can do in the first run. And it's one of those very satisfying moments of not only beating a boss, but figuring out a puzzle at the same time.
I had that in the, what is his name? One of the early bosses in the area with the manta ray things where you have to like attack his cut for him to fall down or something like that.
Shoot,
that was a good one.
What was that one?
Because I was doing no damage to him first. Big, really, really big fat dude who, like, you come in the room and you have to go down to him.
Oh, is it the
Adjudicator?
Adjudicator, yes.
Oh,
Adjudicator.
okay.
My sword did no damage to him at all. And then I kept hitting that cut, and then he eventually, he like fell over or like something came out of him, and then you attack that. And then it does damage. But that was a cool, like, oh no, I'm trapped in here, and I had a bunch of souls. So, like, fuck.
Okay, speaking of souls, I gotta say this real quick. So I got the deluxe edition of this game, and it came with items, and I was like, I don't care that that's cheating. I just want to enjoy this game. I don't care. And one of the things they gave you was a shitload of souls, and it's really cool. Until you're Treavor, who forgets that the Maiden in Black doesn't show up until you beat the first boss, and you have 1,800 souls on you, running through the Boletarian Wall, praying to whatever exists in the beyond that you make it. I did it, by the way.
Yes. That's hilarious, though. That's awesome. That's kind of like, oh yeah, this is a special prize just for you. Wink.
Yeah, that's it. Like,
Glad you paid us 20 extra bucks.
It was such a comedic moment of me sitting there and it's like, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna pop these souls. Oh, they even got the Dark Souls 3. You can just say how much you want to use. I'm gonna pop them all. All right, let's go. Where's the Maiden in Black? Maybe she's up all these stairs, and I ran all the way up the stairs. And I was like, nah, maybe she was down in where everybody puts their sign. But go back down. I searched for 15 minutes looking for this woman, convinced that I was like, no, she's here, really. Like, no, that's how it is.
I had that too because I'm like, I need to level up. I have a bunch of souls. I didn't have quite the circumstance. I had like 2,500 souls, and I'm like, I need to spend these. Like, where can I go? It was running everywhere. I searched the Nexus every single nook and cranny, didn't find her, and I'm like, I'll just fight the boss, I guess, and then
I
Then
just
they
realized
showed up.
because of what you thought. It was 18,000 souls.
Oh my god.
Oh,
18,000
man.
souls.
And
soul
right
level
off the
1.
bat, you're like, that's 100 levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas I
but
can
that-
remember
that-
parts
I
towards the
do-
end,
I
I was like,
do still
18,000? Yeah, you know what? I'll go fight this boss. I don't care if I lose that.
Dude, on my freaking Dark Souls 3 character right now, my friends nearly had a heart attack one time because it's like, yeah, I lost 140,000 souls, but it's not even a level.
Yeah. Two other things that drove me freaking crazy. Two other bosses. Old King Alient, Old King Alent, the final boss of the first Archstone. That was one. It was a very
just so
melee-focused
pretty.
boss. He had that big hurricane thing that he suns out that was an instant kill for me. That fucked me. And that was before, I had just gotten my Firestorm spell, which was the one-hit kill for everything. But I hadn't, optimized my gear. I didn't have the right catalyst and all this kind of stuff to make it super strong. So that gave me some trouble. In fact, I even said, Holden, you want to come help me with this boss? For the first time. I'm sure Holden was like, oh, Chad's asking for my help. And then he's like, oh, wait, I started a new game plus. Where can you go back to 5 levels ago and we can just run that? No.
I do,
I hadn't even
real
beat the
quick,
Tower
I do
Knight
really
yet.
love that they added the password matchmaking thing from Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, we only tried it once, but we never got it to work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Never worked.
But I mean, it worked just as frequently as I feel like we got it to work in Bloodborne and Dark Souls. So I feel like it's always hit or miss.
Yeah.
The last one was
the other boss?
the old monk. I was super let down by that fight because I didn't like the way that they allowed the person to prepare for you. You get halfway up the stairs and it's like, here they are, they're right waiting for you, and they just wait for you to fucking come up those stairs. And so I fought 6 or 7 different people up there, and they can see when you're coming through the fog door. So there was someone waiting right on the side of the door frame. As soon as I step in, Firestorm dead. Or somebody's just waiting there and they stab you in the back, 1-hit kill, dead. So there were a lot of moments like that where it's they had the jump on me, and that's not fair. But that was still, it ended up, the final one of those that I ended up winning was a really cool, tense challenge again. It was me versus another magic person. And of course, all of the best magic gear also really lowers your magic defense. So we're super fragile and we're just throwing fireballs at each other and we're like,
Glass cannon.
don't hit me.
No, silly, stop it. Okay, I'm gonna rant about this boss real quick. It's not because it's hard. It's on my shit list because it's dumb. The armor spider, I think, might be the worst boss encounter in all of Souls games for me, because it's not a boss fight. It's basically playing Guitar Hero, where you're going down a way and you're going this way and you're going that way, and then you go bang, 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 and then you go back to the beginning and you just rinse and repeat, and it's just so freaking annoying. And I'm sure for the magic user, fine, whatever, you just, but I decided to go melee. And so running all the way down there, go, all right, now I gotta run the and then it's freaking homing webs where it's just all right, I'm gonna roll, and it's no, you're not. You're stuck in webs, and now I'm gonna fireball you 3 times because fuck you. I do not like the design of that boss, but kind of for me, for Demon Souls, the bosses are cool, but they're not on my high tier of Souls bosses. They would not. None of these would be in my top 10.
Yeah, I think they're cool, interesting bosses. But you're right. They don't anything in Bloodborne, anything in Dark Souls 3 are
oh yeah,
such an evolution from what this was.
Well, they're also very, and I don't mean this. This is going to sound insulting. I don't mean it to sound insulting, but compared to other Souls games, they're basic. They're just really basic fights in a lot of ways. Compared to Bloodborne, they're was it the Bloodhound Beast, or whatever it's called?
Bloodstarved Beast.
The Bloodstarved Beast,
Bloodstarved Beast. Oh my god!
What a dynamic, interesting fight where you just constantly have to respond, and
and
Flameworker,
many of them have
although that
multiple
was
phases too.
Yeah. Well, I think about Flameworker, I'm that was a challenging fight, but it was also just same move, dodge that same move, hit dude.
Yeah.
and it kind of just that same thing over and over again. Maneater was fun because I had both of them fighting at one time, so that was interesting. But beyond that, yeah, I think you're right, Trevor. The bosses here are not the best in the series.
But like, again, like what we're saying again, it's like we're like, oh, that's so Dark Souls 3. It's like, well, no, it's Demon Souls, and it's like that's the thing. This is what was the original thing of why we have those awesome boss fights, because when this came out, these boss fights were the toughest of the tough. And were ridiculously powerful, and yeah, you know, like we were saying at the beginning, the boss run, like that was the other punishing part of it. And now, you know, in Dark Souls, you know, 2, 3, like 1, sometimes those bonfires are a little far away, but like we've gotten to the point where it's like, no, the difficulty is the boss, not just getting to the boss. Because it annoyed me with Armored Spider, like. I fucking hate this boss. But it was really annoying. Like it killed me, and I'm like, I have to sprint through. I have to go up a fucking elevator and then sprint down this way, go through the tunnel, go down the stairs, go up here, go around up the tower, go across the bridge, go past the dude, go across another bridge, past the boulder that's gonna fall down on me, then get on the giant elevator that's gonna take a really fucking long time to go down, like we're in Mass Effect, and then I can fight it again.
No, dude.
And then you die in 3 seconds, and you have to do it all over again.
If you just turn right instead, and you see the giant pit, they're like platforms. You just hop down the pit, and you're right in front of the boss.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, it's still a little ways, but yeah, it's closer.
I'll fucking kill you. You gotta be shitting me.
It cuts it down in like half, but it's still a long way to go if you're gonna die really quickly.
I'm gonna hop on after we're recording, and I'm gonna go look at this pit.
Yep.
That I'd not.
You go to the right. You go through the tunnel of all the
down
guys that are digging, and then you hop down the platforms of the pit, and you get to the bottom, and there's like a couple of worms. You kill them, and you go around a corner. There's a couple of worms. You kill them, and then you're at the boss.
Oh, that one.
Everyone
okay,
watching live right now, look at me in the eyes as I realize that I've spent 10 years not knowing this, and I look up this shit regularly. I'm not in a great spot right now.
So my big frustrating boss was the Dragon God, because like that boss was just, first of all, it's hardly a boss. Second of all, I didn't understand what I was even supposed to do. Like I saw that he broke one of the like big piles of rock in my way, but I went for the other one. It would take like 4 or 5 fucking times for him to break that one. So I just like wasn't or I have to cut it with my own sword, actually. He doesn't break that one. And I just wasn't like grasping what to do, because there's nothing in the game that says, oh yeah, you can use your sword to break down stone rocks. Usually your sword ricochets off of rocks.
Yeah.
So it just was counterintuitive. It would be like in a Mario game saying, no, you're supposed to jump into the lava. Like, no, everything in the game has told me not to do that. So that was just really confusing. I ended up just looking up how to do that one because I just did not know what to do.
I used that was the only time I used the PlayStation Tips menu, was during that boss fight.
Which is really cool, by the way.
It is, yeah.
That was really interesting because that boss I had trouble with as a ranged magic user. I was not used to, I shoot a wall and it breaks. But he also had a spot on his chin that you could target. So I was like, there's no freaking way I'm supposed to be able to hit this. And, you know, I would shoot something at it and it would do 0 damage. I was like, what am I missing on this fucker's face that I can't damage it? And I'm blocked on either. Because there's one side that you're blocked because that's the Sword of Moonlight. Yep. And I was like, okay, I can't fight those because that has to be White World Tendency. And then the other side is like, oh, I assume those are also the same types of rocks. So I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, it wasn't intuitive. And also, he kills you in 1 hit.
Yeah.
Like 1 hit and you're done. So I'm just like, am I not supposed to be here right now? What's going on? Like, it was just not enjoyable. It's just one of those like
that fight, and all I thought, Dario, was this does not look enjoyable in any way.
It really wasn't. And it's not like when there's a boss that takes a long time to beat in a Souls game and you finally beat him, it should be like, oh my god, I did it. And there's this like overwhelming sense of like euphoria. And this was just like, fuck you. I am not happy with this.
I remember the very first time I played through it, and I was a melee build. I got all the way to the point where his head is on the ground, and it's just attack his chin. That's all you had to do, and he has like almost no health left.
Yeah.
And then his breath killed me, and I was so pissed.
That's amazing. That was the worst boss in the whole game for me. I hated the Dragon God. It's a horrible boss.
Did you guys ever
like Armor Spider is a boss?
It's Guitar Hero.
It is a Guitar Hero. You're right. That actually is a funny comparison. I love that.
Did you guys
Thought of that in
ever
the
do
shower.
anything with World Tendency or have that affect you at all, or even realize it was a part of the game?
How does it work? I have no idea.
I actually brought up the Wikipedia page about World Tendency.
So I looked it up because because it was affecting me. World Tendency, white or black. At this point, it's more transparent in the remaster. You could always go to your menu and you could see of the 5 worlds what the world transparency was, and then what your personal one was. But if you beat a boss, or if you like get rescue an NPC or something like that, then it brings up your world tendency to be lighter. And if you get to all the way light in one of the 5 archstones, then certain things unlock, like the Moonlight Shard and or sword in the Dragon God thing is available for you to get, or a bridge might be repaired, or a door might be open. If you die while in body form, then that decreases your world tendency. And if you could do that enough times all the way down to black, there are more black phantoms in there. There are primeval demons all over the worlds. There are, but again, it opens up opportunities, get you cool armor and stuff like that. And I had forgotten.
I don't fuck with the Black World Tendency.
Yeah.
Like I learned about it on PlayStation 3. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. I'll just kill myself in the Nexus every time I'm human. And that's what I've always done.
That ended up being the trick of it. Yeah, do not ever go into a world with full body on it. Just go kill yourself in the Nexus. No. And I learned that the hard way because I mentioned that Old King Allant was one of my most, like, my struggle bosses. It's because I went in there and every time I fought him, I would use a Stone of Ephemeral Eyes, become full body, and I would go in there and die. And then every time that I died, it was like 5 or 6 times. I would, like, the enemies, I would do less damage to the enemies on the way there. My magic would be weaker again. So I was like, fuck. I can't win. The game is getting harder because I'm dying.
I'm so glad World Tendency did not continue on into the other Souls games because it's bad. Like, that was the one thing when this remake was coming, I'm like, I hate that. I absolutely think that was one of the worst mechanics they've ever done. And as soon as I saw his back, I'm like, all right, going up to that ledge is in the Nexus like always.
The one thing I'm glad it did not come back is reducing your health to half when you're not in full body form. Because all it means for me is I just wear that ring, so I'm 75% instead of 50%, which just means a ring slot is taken up. Because any other ring to be there is pointless. Oh, my poison damage is reduced. Or I could have 25% more health. Oh, I could have less whatever, like... Or I could have 25% more health. It's just a ridiculous...
It's the same thing in Dark Souls 2, which is...
That's why I don't play Dark Souls 2.
Let me tell you, though, if you're a magic
You and I
build,
should talk about Dark Souls 2 one of these days, because I feel like we have the same opinion.
There's, like, a difference between, like, Sekiro or Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3 where, like, they're hard games. But there's nothing about it that's, like... That seems like the game is telling you fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And when your max health gets reduced, the game is telling you fuck yourself. I was actually thinking about this today because I was watching about Fallout 4 and I'm like, oh, they do reduce max health in Fallout 4. But it makes sense in the context of that game that like radiation would reduce your maximum health because radiation would have an impact. Like okay, like I can buy into that. But Dark Souls 2, it just felt like, yeah, this is going to be a hard game. So we're just going to make this unnecessarily hard. Just because, have fun.
If you're a magic-based build,
we're gonna have
though,
a huge consequence for that.
There were multiple times I'd run into that, and I'd be like, you know, I think I'm not going to wear the Cling Ring because I have warding for my defense, and my whole goal as a ranged magic build is I'm wearing light as shit armor, and I just don't get hit. Like that's the goal. So there were often times where I was like, you know what, I'm not going to wear my Cling Ring. I'm going to put on a magical sharpness ring. I'm going to put on my recharge my MP ring. I'm just going to be a fucking boss.
I don't know. I think it's more of a boss to run in, put your actual body in harm's way as opposed to like lobbing cheap shots from a distance.
Yeah, I would run up close to all of these bosses, cast one firestorm. Done.
You just walk away, like a giant explosion in the background.
Yep.
Yeah. That's how you really play Demon Souls.
The only other thing that I want to say about this game is just fuck the Black Phantoms. Fuck the Black Phantoms. Fuck the Black Phantoms. If you have full body at any point in this game and you haven't killed yourself in the Nexus, you are repeatedly invaded over and over. And there's a little trick you can do in this version that you couldn't do in the original, where you can just, so-and-so's invaded your game. Cool. Exit the game. Save and exit. And then you just reload it right up again, and you're in the exact same spot. Everything's the same, but the person's not there. But it was the first level of the Tower of, or of the World 4, the Valley of Defilement with the skeletons and the shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's this one guy, his name is Icy Wind Watery Fire, and he tried to invade me about 25 times. 25 times. And I'm just going through, I'd kill 1 or 2 enemies, save and exit the game. Come back in. Kill 1 or 2 enemies, save and exit the game. And it got to be freaking obnoxious. And then I got to the great, or the demon in the middle of it. That's not a boss, but he's enormous. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right.
The one from the tutorial.
Yep. And I was like, all right, I just loaded up the game. There's no way he's going to invade me in time before I can kill this thing. And I get halfway to running up, and the guy just like, boop, kills me. I was like, I didn't even get a notification you were here. It fucking sucks.
Oh.
So I hated that. But again, I mean, if you weren't in body form, it was much less frequent that they would invade you.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks.
I almost never got invaded. I got more errors saying that I couldn't touch that bonfire or archstone, whatever it was, because it was in multiplayer. And I'm like, but there is no one.
I figured out what that
walk around the
was.
entire map.
I figured out what that was. That is someone trying to connect. They might have failed to connect, but that's someone trying to connect to invade your world. Because I would often, that would happen to me too, and then I would save and exit and it would be fine. Or there were a couple times where I was like, all right, I'm going to run back, and then there's a cloud of fog. I'm like, what? And I was like, no one's here. And then like a minute later, so-and-so invades my world.
This is the thing that makes me the most sad about like the world tendency thing. Because of world tendency, I will not let myself go into an area in human form. And it's not because I'm afraid of getting invaded. I just think world tendency, it's the same thing with Dishonored. I freaking hate systems where they're like, oh, you played the way you wanted to? Fuck you. and so because I won't do it. And I hate that because it makes me miss out in Demon Souls, the PvP community that I love in Dark Souls 3. Like Dark Souls 3, it's insane to me that I have had some of the most wholesome PvP moments of my life in a Souls game. Like I was taking my buddy through the game. He'd never played it before. And we were at a certain spot. He was embered because, that's the way you have to be when you have a friend in there. And he got invaded. I'm just like, oh, this is funny because we've got the fucking high ground. I cannot wait to see this. This is going to be hilarious. And so dude runs up, comes up the stairs. I'm literally standing in front of my friend with my shield up and my greatsword over my shoulder like, how's it going? And then he comes up, does the shield thing real quick. I do the shield thing back real quick. He does an emote. I do an emote. He starts dropping hundreds of thousands of souls for my friend and then just salutes and pieces out. And it was one of the best things I've ever seen. I love that. And because of fucking world tendency, I'm not doing that in Demon Souls.
Yeah.
I love to bow before you get into a duel with someone.
Yeah, you have to. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a respect. This is a gentlemanly duel, okay? Like, you gotta be respectful.
No, if somebody invaded me, very first thing, like, firestorm.
Oh my god!
As soon as I saw that,
we were doing Dark Souls 3 at one point, and we had 4 people in, and so 3 of them are phantoms, and we got invaded. And it was amazing because the dude walks up to us, does the bow, and then points at who he wants to fight. And he pointed at me, and I'm just like, let's freaking go. And so we had a one-on-one fight with my friends standing around watching. Love it. It's great.
All right, boys.
Yep.
We're going to wrap this up. Any last things you want to say about Demon Souls before we wrap up and move on to our regular episode for the week?
If you haven't played a Souls game before and you have a PlayStation 5, I highly recommend picking this up. It is one of the prettiest games you can play on that system, and it won't crash on you a bunch of times and have a car fly across the world and punch you in the face. And I honestly think you should give it a shot.
Yeah, I agree. It is the best entry point into the Souls anything. I think it's the best entry. Hands down.
Yep. Perf. Fun as hell, y'all. Go Magic if you want a really easy mode.
I thought you were just endorsing Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, go Magic. Get yourself a swamp deck.
I do want to say one thing real quick though. If you are interested in the lore of Souls games, or if you didn't know there was lore of Souls games, go to YouTube, look up Vadi Vidya.
Yeah.
And
How do you spell that?
watch all of his videos. Oh man, I gotta get the spelling on
that.
It's
a great channel.
I'm sure you
it's
could
a really
Google
good channel.
Vadi,
This dude
however
is
you want to
so-
guess to spell that, and it would show up.
Honestly, you
dude
could
is so
probably
good
just
with-
type in Souls lore and he'll be the first one to show up.
So it is VAATIVIDYA, and this guy knows his lore so well that I was talking about. I have history books of Dark Souls lore. He wrote the foreword because they're like, we need you to write something for this because you know everything. Yeah, it's got all Souls, like Sekiro, Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, all of it. Go watch it.
He makes
Wonderful.
good stuff.
Before
I've
we
listened
leave-
to a lot of his content.
Before we leave, thank you, Trevor, for coming and talking about this game, regardless of having never beaten it. Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you for having me. I'll do it one day.
Our final thing that we're going to do as we go out, I just want everyone to stand up and show off their PlayStation sweater and maybe rub your belly. So, Holden, let's start with you.
Okay, yeah,
oh, wait,
yeah.
no, we'll all go together.
I
so
don't
Holden doesn't
have
feel
one.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
I don't have
Check
one.
this out. I have a surprise, Chad. I have my Respawn Aimfire shirt on
Oh!
underneath
I
it.
would do the same, except it would show
Awesome.
nipples and we'd get kicked off Twitch. So.
I was like, wait, hold down that shirt. You're too fat to flash Twitch.
All right, we'll see. If you're watching live on twitch.tv/AffableIdiots right now, we will see you in about 10 minutes for episode 191. If you're not, what the fuck are you doing? Do it.